Welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're here. We are jumping straight into something today that is, frankly, one of the most misunderstood health issues out there right now. For decades, we've been warned about the dangers of refined sugar, but there's actually another hidden crisis unfolding right inside our digestive systems. Welcome to the truth about refined fiber. We're going to explore exactly why these fibers, the ones heavily marketed as healthy, are actually acting like ultra-processed junk food and literally ruining your gut microbiome. If you've been dealing with unexplained chronic digestive issues, you are in the right place because this explainer is exactly what you need. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our agenda for today. We're going to cover the refined fiber crisis, look at the polyphenol guidance system, break down 3 systemic gut failures, identify the exact fibers you need to avoid, and then finish up with a 3-step microbial recovery plan. For anyone out there suffering from chronic stomach pain, bloating, or just total digestive chaos, I really want to reassure you, we are going to uncover the root cause today and give you a concrete, effective roadmap to recover.
Part 1. The refined fiber crisis, or what I like to call a modern dietary Trojan horse. We all know that refining sugarcane into white sugar strips away the nutrients, right? It's a metabolic disaster. But what a lot of people don't realize is that refining plant fiber is just as destructive. When these massive industrial food corporations use harsh chemicals, super high heat, and industrial enzymes to isolate fiber from its natural structure, they create something completely alien to our microbiome. It enters our bodies disguised as a healthy, functional food, but it's really a bomb waiting to go off.
Which brings us to a massively important question. What actually happens when fiber loses its natural guidance system? It's a provocative question, I know. It challenges this deeply ingrained assumption that if something has fiber on the label, it must automatically be good for you. The modern health food craze has stuffed isolated fiber into literally everything. Energy bars, cookies, you name it, completely ignoring basic biology. Left without its natural guidance, isolated fiber creates pure chaos. 15. Now, that is not just a random number. That represents the massive 15 grams of isolated, entirely synthetic fiber that gets stuffed into a single, tiny diet snack bar. And why do they do it? Honestly, it's mostly to alter the texture, give it a certain mouthfeel, and of course, print a big, flashy high-fiber claim on the wrapper to lure us in. It's an enormous amount of pure fiber compressed into an artificial block.
And this brilliantly illustrates the terrifying dosage disconnect here. To get 15 grams of refined fiber, you just scarf down one tiny bar. But to get 15 grams of natural fiber, you would have to eat roughly 2 whole pounds of fresh produce. Do you see the massive gap there? When you flood your digestive tract with a concentrated bomb of pure fiber like that in just a few bites, you directly induce uncontrollable fermentation. Your gut simply was not designed to handle a load like that.
Moving on to part 2, the polyphenol guidance system, nature's matrix. To really grasp why that fiber bomb is so bad, we have to look at how nature actually designs things. In the natural world, whether we're talking about an onion, a bean, or a handful of berries, fiber never exists on its own. It's always tightly bound to polyphenols. These are chemical compounds that basically act as biological air traffic controllers for your gut. Trillions of microbes co-evolved over millennia to process this exact dual matrix unit. These polyphenols are incredibly smart. They dictate exactly which microbes get the fuel. They actively suppress the opportunistic pathogens while promoting the good guys. So without those air traffic controllers, the fiber is just unguided fuel, burning out of control and feeding whatever bacteria happens to touch it first. I really want you to pay attention to this finding from a landmark study in the journal Cell. Researchers found that mice fed a diet supplemented with isolated, refined inulin fiber unexpectedly developed severe liver cancer. But here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. When they fed another group of mice the exact same amount of inulin, but delivered within its natural whole food matrix, 0 instances of cancer occurred. None. Now, yes, this is an animal study, but it highlights the terrifying systemic danger of separating plant fibers from their protective chemical compounds using high heat and industrial enzymes. Part 3. 3 systemic gut failures. Let's take a quick anatomical journey to see what actually goes wrong when you remove that guidance system. If you've been battling chronic inflammation or stomach pain, pay close attention. The first systemic failure is microbial dysbiosis. Imagine, dropping a massive feast into a crowded forest with absolutely no one managing it. Opportunistic, harmful bacteria instantly swarm in and devour this unguided fiber fuel without any restriction. Because there are no polyphenols to keep them in check, your beneficial bacteria just get completely overwhelmed. The result? a chaotic ecosystem operating totally blind, driving severe systemic inflammation throughout your whole body.
But the nightmare doesn't stop there, unfortunately. In your upper GI tract, because that refined fiber was already partially broken down during manufacturing, it ferments way too early in the small intestine. Now, that area should be relatively sterile, so this premature fermentation directly fuels SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Then, because all the fuel got burned up too early, your lower GI tract is literally starving. Without food, the bacteria in your colon resort to eating your own protective mucus layer just to survive. That degradation leads straight to leaky gut. They are literally eating away at your body's protective barrier.
Part 4. Fibers and foods to avoid. Okay, I know all that structural damage sounds pretty scary, but now we're moving on to the cure. Let's talk about what you actually need to clear out of your pantry today. So the crucial point here is you have to start reading ingredient labels. If you flip a package over and see inulin, chicory root fiber extract, soluble corn fiber, or tapioca fiber, put it right back on the shelf. You need to be especially wary of packaged goods labeled keto or these meal replacement bars marketed as high fiber. These are the prime sources of those isolated, refined fibers that are directly damaging your gut barrier. It's not real food. It's a deception of the industrial food system. Part 5. 3-step microbial recovery. The protocol. This is a highly actionable reset roadmap, specifically for those of you wrestling with chronic, unexplained digestive issues that conventional advice just hasn't fixed. Here's the 3-step structure. Step 1. Completely eliminate all isolated fiber supplements and additives. Just cut them out entirely. Step 2 is where we reintroduce the natural guidance system. You do this by shifting to vibrant, polyphenol-rich whole foods, natural spices, and traditional fermented foods. These intact food matrices bring back that physical bond between fiber and polyphenols. And then, step 3 is a more specialized, short-term elimination protocol. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly what step 3 entails. If you're dealing with advanced SIBO, or that severe bloating from uncontrollable upper gut fermentation, a temporary carnivore reset might be the answer. We're talking 1 to 2 months of eliminating all plant carbohydrates and fiber entirely. Why to do this? To completely cut off the food supply and aggressively starve out those misplaced bacterial populations in your small intestine. A total absence of fermentation gives your gut barrier a much-needed chance to rest and heal before you start carefully reintroducing those whole foods back in step 2. Which brings us to our final question for this explainer. Are you ready to stop feeding the chaos and start guiding your gut microbiome? Listen, fiber isn't the enemy, but industrialized, refined fiber that's been completely stripped of nature's intelligence, that absolutely is. It's time to rethink our functional food choices, see right through those deceptive ingredient labels, and start applying these recovery steps. Your gut health really is in your hands. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time.